I have to tell you about the craziest story in my very first car accident trial going back more than 24 years. You want to learn what happened? Unbelievable what happened. Come join me as I share with you this remarkable story. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York car accident attorney practicing law here in the state of New York. My very first car accident trial, I was actually representing the person who was being sued. I was a defense attorney. And now my boss says, go try this case. It was my very first case. It was being held in Kings County Civil Court at 111 Livingston Street. Now that was the civil court at that time. And now I pick a jury and we are trying liability first to determine who, if anyone, is responsible for the happening of this accident. And now I'm asking my witness questions. My client, the driver who is being sued in this particular case, I'm doing a direct examination of my client. Mr. Jones, tell us what happened. Tell us, where were you going? What did you see? What did you observe? And now he's describing the location where the intersection occurred, where this accident happened. All of a sudden the judge turns to my client and says, excuse me, Mr. Jones, that's not his name by the way, he says, Mr. Jones, that's not what's at that intersection. I said, what? Judge, what are you doing? You can't testify. This witness is testifying about his recollection, his observations about what he knows about that particular intersection. Counselor, sit down. Objection overruled. I'm asking this witness questions. And one of the questions I want to know is, Mr. Jones, that store is not at that part of the intersection, it's over there. And that park that you talked about, it's not there, it's over there. And I stand up and I yell, objection, judge, you can't do that. I'm in front of the jury, my witness is on the stand, I'm asking questions as part of the direct exam. The plaintiff's attorney, the person who represents the injured victim, is sitting at a seat, his mouth is open, can't believe that the judge has now interjected his own personal beliefs and his own personal opinions into what's going on here. That is totally inappropriate. What could I do as the attorney? The only thing I could do was object, and the judge kept telling me, sit down. You know what? I did sit down, but I had to get right back up because the judge kept asking my client questions and disagreeing with him. Judge, you can't do that. Objection. Counselor, sit down. Objection overruled. Now he goes and asks my client another question. I was like a yo-yo going back and forth, back and forth. This went on for about 5 solid minutes. And I'm looking at the jury, shaking my head with my arms up, saying, Judge, you can't do this. And he kept telling me to sit down. Now the judge controls the courtroom. And now here I am, this is my very first trial. And I'm faced with this judge who's now taken over giving testimony about what's really in the intersection. And honestly, you cannot do that. So now, after the judge takes a break, I turn to my adversary and I say, what just happened? He turned to me and he says, I have never seen that in my entire career. Remember, I'm a new young attorney at that point. My adversary was an established, well-recognized attorney. He couldn't believe what had just happened. Needless to say, that was a remarkable event that occurred so many years ago in my very first car accident case. But yet it's still something that's vivid in my memory. And it's something that thankfully has not happened since then, where the judge has literally taken over and now interjected his own opinions about what exactly is at that particular intersection. So why do I share this quick story with you? I share it with you just to tell you one instance of something remarkable that occurred in a case that I handled many, many years ago that still stays with me today and is something that I remember vividly. You know, I realize you're watching this because you have questions or concerns about your own particular matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in the state of New York and you do have legal questions, what I encourage you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your legal questions. This is something I do every single day and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, G-E-R-R-Y, @Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's quick video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.